Hi guys, so it is day one of 12 Days of Christmas, and I want to answer some of your questions. So this question is from Erica, and basically it's what books am I really inspired by lately, and where do I find my material, and all that good stuff. So usually I'm really a believer in like allowing the universe to send me what it needs to send me, and so they just end up in my life, these books, somehow, either through friends or different teachers that I'm working with, or some random thing on the internet that I stumble upon. But two of my favorites lately, there's this one book that I have with me called The Eastern Body, Western Mind, which is incredible. It's a really thick book, and I actually want to reread it again. But it goes through a really comprehensive look at all this chakra system, and also the Western mind, the psychology of it all. So it blends Eastern and Western into a book that's really profound on healing. It also gives you exercises for each chakra on how to work with balancing each chakra. For me, healing has been a really big thing lately, and I'll talk more about this on the blog. I've been a sufferer of psoriasis since I was 2, and I've been on medicine for it for a really, really long time, and in the most random of situations and circumstances, I'm no longer on medicine for it, and I'm actually still pretty clear, which I completely equate to, I think, meditation and really just changing my whole makeup through meditation and different healing modalities. So I've been studying up more and more on self-healing and imbalances and how to balance those out. And so this book is really, really, really fantastic. Another book that we're going to be giving away, actually, to one of you fantastic people, is a book called Conversations with God, which is like a 3-part series. I don't even remember how I stumbled upon it, but it totally blew my mind. It's definitely definitely an expanded way of looking at life and the universe and God and the higher power and whatever you want to call it. But I definitely had some moments while reading this book where I had this like huge awakening. And in fact, I was traveling on these 2 days where I was just expanded into like understanding everything about the universe and how it worked. And it was like I was living in a dream and watching people walk around me as I was traveling. And I was going up to people and telling them how beautiful they were and how much I loved them, and like things I would never ever do to random people on a normal day. And it just it's amazing how people reacted and how much love people need, and I think just the true essence of who we really are. This book really kind of solidified that for me. So if you haven't read either one of those, I suggest getting both of them, and hopefully one of you will be having that in your hands very soon. So happy first day of 12 Days of Christmas. So the first question is from Melissa, and it's basically how did I start meditating and learn to meditate. So I was going through a really interesting time in my life, and I knew that I needed something more. I knew I needed something to help my anxiety that wasn't medication. I wanted to search out other healing modalities, and I was on Instagram, and Ashley Neese, who's one of my incredible teachers, kept popping up for about 5 months. She kept popping up in my life. I found her actually through the body book, Cameron Diaz's body book. I followed it on Instagram, and then they did an article on her. And so she, I finally called her, and I had no idea. I set up an appointment with her. I had no idea what I was going to experience. But the reason that I knew I needed to figure out something with energy was because I was really taking in energy from my audiences, like in a different way than I ever had. It was draining me. So I'd come off stage and feel exhausted, and I knew that there was energy there to be worked with. I just didn't know how to work with it and what was going on. So my first couple of lessons with Ashley, she was teaching me how to work with energy, how to let it pass through me and not necessarily take on things that weren't mine, learning how to experience, what was my energy, what wasn't. And one of the first meditations that she taught me was it was a healing energy, or healing meditation, and also a visualization meditation and something to protect myself. So it was basically about picturing myself in vibrant golden or white light, and allowing that to kind of, take over my body and my space, and envisioning that being somewhat of a protective field, but it also allowed energy to pass, come in and out easily, but I wouldn't take on anything that wasn't mine. So to sit with myself in meditation for even 5 minutes freaked me out. Just the thought of sitting with my thoughts freaked me out. So with the visualization meditation that she taught me, it actually allowed me to kind of get out of my thoughts through that visualization, and then eventually I started to go into this other realm where I started to lose track of everything, which was amazing. It was that kind of that space where you always are kind of hoping to reach during meditation. And then I started being able to just sit with myself, and then I started just acceptance and allowing and realizing that not every meditation is the same, and then being able to see my thoughts kind of go through my head and witness them, focusing on my breath, allowing the thoughts to just happen. Cultivating the witness is what they call it, what they always say. And once you can kind of step back and realize that you're not your body, you're not your thoughts, let the breath kind of recalibrate what's going on in your system and let that be your focus. It's a really amazing practice. So it's hard to put into words. Sometimes I think meditation is everyone's own journey, but visualization meditation, starting with that visualization was really important for me to be able to learn. So I highly recommend starting there. At least that worked for me. Okay, I'm reading this off my phone. This is day 3. And this is from Bina. It says, how do you find the strength? What motivates you to stay on this path of soulful healing? You seem to fully live and breathe it and never steer off course. It's really inspiring. To me, it's like once you pop, you can't stop. I feel like once I experienced this whole other world of spirituality and what exists within, once I really understood that everything that I wanted was not outside of me, but inside of myself, it really began this journey of healing. Because I've learned for myself, and I think everyone, really everything we're searching for is on the other side of our fear. It's befriending our shadows. And it became, I think for me, like with everything, whether it's music or anything else that I've become really passionate about, it became like this something that I just started focusing on and really desiring to learn more about and learn more about myself. And I never thought I wanted to learn more about myself. I thought I wanted to run the opposite direction. But the more I dive into it, the more magical my life becomes. The more, the deeper I can go with my music, the deeper I can go with my relationships. It's just something that I know this is like part of my reason of being here. And so honestly, I lost my passion for a lot of things for a while. I mean, I've been doing music for a really long time, and it became a job, and I lost my passion for it. I lost my passion for life, and being able to to really shift into a new perception of things and perspective, and find the gifts outside of just music. Find the gifts that live within all of the small gifts of the everyday journey. The gratitude that I find within that journey. It's truly like you wake up every day, I do at least, and think what a gift this is. And even if it's the crappiest day of life, like there's a gift in that. I'm supposed to learn something from this. And so I think it's with that shift in my perspective of the way I look at things, it's hard to wake up anymore and think of life in a different way. I've totally changed the way I live. And that's just a choice, but it's my choice every day, and it's definitely not the easy choice sometimes, but it's a choice every day to wake up and choose this path. And I found so much healing and connection with myself and others through the path. So I'm sticking to it. Hey guys, this is day 4 of the 12 Days of Christmas questions. And David asked me basically, how do I find a way to extend love to people, even difficult people. We'll just call them that. I have learned that when people throw hate at you, or I've learned that whatever they're going through in their own experience, that might be coming toward you is definitely their own projection. It's really how they're feeling inside of themselves, what's going on, what story they're telling themselves. So that whole thing in the 4 Agreements, which is the best book ever, about not taking anything personally, is so true. I truly believe that it is their own experience, and I try not to take it personally. And on a really deeper spiritual level than that, there's this thing called Christ consciousness that I guess I've written about on Remnants, and through all the love that I have discussed and talked about and written about. I try to do it in my relationships. It's so difficult, and I think when you set out to give love to even the most difficult in your life, the most difficult become even more difficult. I have had that slam right in my face more and more after even writing that on Remnants. And I find the more love that I give myself, I'm able to extend to everyone else. The more grace that I give myself, the more I'm able to extend to everyone else. I think the Christ consciousness, you understand our human experience, but you also see past our humanity into what we really are, which is soul, which is spirit, which is all connected. And you really truly understand that, what you do to someone else, you're really doing to yourself. And there's a lot of that can be a really heady conversation, and something that for me, it took me a while. I understood it intellectually, but it's taken me a while of writing it and living it, and my daily experiences of it, to really embody it. And I'm human, so I don't embody it all the time. There are definitely things that push my buttons that I have not developed and grown into enough of that Christ consciousness, I guess, and that forgiveness and that grace, to be able to extend that. But I try as much as I can, and I catch myself. The best thing is to be able to catch yourself in the middle of it, in the middle of judgment, in the middle of anger, in the middle of projected anger and hatred, and go, wait, this is my stuff. And to have that kind of responsibility, it's a big responsibility, and I think we all are responsible for that piece of ourselves. And the more that we take responsibility for that, the better this world will be. Hey guys, this is the 5th day of the 12 Days of Christmas questions, and this one's from Charlotte. She wanted to know, what are my top 5 vitamins that I can't live without. The biggest ones for me, there's 4. and if you want to count CBD oil as a vitamin, I love CBD oil. It helps me with anxiety. It's just a different alternative than having to take medication, and I find that it really works for me. I find that it helps me sleep, which I love. Vitamins, so vitamin D, vitamin C, B vitamins, and what was the other one? Turmeric. Turmeric's really big for anti-inflammatory, especially having psoriasis. It's something that I take morning, noon, and night. So I try to keep the inflammation down in my system as much as possible. D, I'm deficient in D. I think a lot of us are, so I take that. And yeah, vitamin B is essential for when I travel, and vitamin C essential for when I travel because of energy, and also to stop trying to stop from getting sick. So yeah, I shake a lot of hands, so that's C definitely comes in handy. Alyssa wants to know, how do I teach myself patience? If I can be patient in my process, I feel like I will better enjoy the journey. First off, that was the one thing that I prayed for when I was really little, because my mom used to tell me I was so impatient. And so I prayed for patience, and don't pray for anything you're not willing to have to work through. It will pop up in your life constantly. And that is the case for me. It's when you want to learn patience, I think that you have to open yourself up to all of those opportunities that the universe will send to you to practice patience, and catch yourself when you're becoming impatient. Just take a breath, remind yourself, that that's a piece of the puzzle that you want to put together for yourself. So just take a breath and be like, patience, I got this. Another thing that I think really helps along the journey to bring some joy into even difficult situations is a gratitude practice. I have a daily gratitude practice. Just jot down at night things that you're grateful for that happen throughout the day. And if you find yourself wandering off into a negative train of thought during the day, catch yourself and bring yourself back and think of a few things that you're grateful for. It really does shift the energy. So I think, in those difficult moments, if we can find the gift in that and the lesson, it makes the journey a lot easier, and patience kind of bubble out of that space. All right. So this is day 7 of the 12 days of Christmas questions, and Tim is asking what my morning routine is like. When I'm home, I wake up, I say a quick prayer in bed before I get out of bed, and I end up going downstairs with my husband and he has coffee. I don't usually drink coffee anymore, so maybe some iced tea. Actually, I love iced green tea. So I'll sit with him and hang out for a bit, and then I sneak away to do all my meditation stuff, which can take anywhere between 20 minutes, and if I have the time, it's usually like an hour and a half practice. It just centers me. It really changes my outlook on life. It changes the way I live my day. Even just 5 minutes even in the morning of meditation will shift the whole day. So that's usually my morning routine. I also take a ton of vitamins in the morning, and vitamin C, and a bunch of other different things. But once I do that, that's kind of the way I start my day and ready to go. So I kind of try to keep to myself and family before 10 a.m. This is the 8th day, guys, of the Soul of Everly 12 Days of Christmas questions, and Kristen has asked, what do you feel is the time in your life that you learn the most about yourself? I think the time in my life I learned the most about myself is when I felt like my life was spiraling out of control. It was probably in my late 20s. And I think everything that I had ignored just came like a freight train right at me. Anything I had suppressed started to rise, and I had no idea how to deal with it. No idea at all. I was going through a lot of public scrutiny at the same time, and had no idea how to deal with that either. But I think by the time I was 30, I just decided, like, hey, I'm taking control of my life. I need to, some of these things, these big fears that are staring me right in the face that I just haven't dealt with yet, it's time. And so I stopped having that whole victim consciousness and actually, like, started to take control of my life. And that just started spinning, and I opened up more and more and more and more as the years went on. But the last couple of years, I have learned more about myself on a day-to-day basis, because I'm much more aware of what I'm trying to shift in my life, my unhealthy habits, we all have them. I think the biggest piece that I'm learning from right now that I'm working on for myself is to accept all parts of myself and not deny parts of myself and not push them away. And so because of that process, I've actually had to get to know parts of myself that I had previously disowned in a lot of ways, and that can be a really painful process. Basically, it's getting to know, your shadow. So that for me is where I'm learning the most, is about myself, from myself these days, all the pieces that I set aside until now, and I'm trying to bring back into my life and reintegrate every piece of myself to feel whole. Hey guys, this is day 9 of the 12 days of Christmas questions, and Polly is wanting to know what my favorite family holiday tradition is. It's really simple and cheesy. We get a really cheesy ornament every year with our names on it, and my husband, I guess, what was it, our first Christmas really as a family, he went to the mall and bought this 4 peas in a pod ornament, and it's so cheesy. And from that moment on, I've always tried to get like a really pretty glass one, like the Cyprian family on it, and ever since he bought that, I'm like, I have to just add to this collection. So we add one every year, which is it's always fun to add another one on the tree. I get really sentimental about, like, oh wow, another year. It's always a blessing. Hey guys, this is the 10th day of the 12 days of Christmas questions, and Sarah's asking, what continues to inspire me every day? I think my inspiration comes from this awakening process at this moment. I thought I had so much figured out about myself and my purpose, and when you start living your purpose, part of it, I think, when I was so young, you think that's the only thing you do, that's your purpose. I sing, I do music, but through Soul of Everly and through just this process of awakening and learning about myself, I'm amazed by it. Like, I don't know, it's just such an adventure, and I'm finding new gifts and new ways to connect, and I always go back to that word connection. For me, that's a really big thing. I've always done it through my music, I've done it through my writing, now doing it through Soul of Everly, but I'm finding a connection with myself and with other people like I never have felt before, even after feeling such connection through my music all of these years. And I think something now, I enjoy the high of music, being on stage and creating it, but honestly, like, it's not enough for me anymore. I'm realizing that there's something else that I'm supposed to do. I don't know exactly what that looks like yet, but I think I'm starting it with Soul of Everly. So thank you for coming on here. I know you said that you come to Soul of Everly to help your mind and body and spirit every day, so thank you so much. And yeah, I hope my inspiration continues to inspire you, and you guys, it's basically like a cyclical thing. You guys come right back at me with tons of inspiration, so I appreciate you. Hey guys, this is the 11th day of the Soul of Everly 12 days of Christmas questions, and let's see, Kristen is asking, do you listen to certain genres of music depending on your mood? What songs or artists have helped you through tough days? Okay, so yes, I do listen to different types of music for different moods, except a lot of mine that I've noticed recently, it's funny you should ask this question because I was just thinking about this. Mine are either angry, they're or broken, or I love really kind of sad contemplative music even in my happiest of days. I love like Ray LaMontagne and David Gray and like Tracy Chapman, like all that stuff. Like that's kind of my Patty Griffin. That's my go-to on a, you know, evening listening to some great music and having wine kind of thing and just chilling. So, but I'm in need of a joyful playlist. This was actually one of my things today that I decided that I needed to do for myself to begin 2018. So, yeah. So if you have any good ideas, let me know, because I'm always looking for good songs that I don't know, something obscure. But I'm going to put one together. I'll share it with you guys soon. Alright guys, this is day 12 of the Soul of Everly 12 Days of Christmas Questions, and Jasmine has asked, what do I have in store for Soul of Everly in 2018? This has been such an interesting project for me. My friend Hannah, if she would not have basically pinned me down and made me start this blog, I would have never started it, because I'm such a perfectionist. And I'm, you know, I think that everything has to be wrapped up in a pretty package, and I think that was part of my lesson launching Soul of Everly without it being perfect and polished. And it was a good one. It was a good one to put something out in the world that wasn't like wrapped up in a pretty bow. So what I love about this project for myself and expanding Soul of Everly, it's, you know, it's based around, for me, it's based around the growth that happens within me. Then I can share my stories. I love to research. I love to connect with other people. You know, I think I would love to expand the connection of Soul of Everly with the readers and also with other writers. I know that we're going to do more with my YouTube channel next year, more along the lines of meditation and workout and just kind of overall lifestyle things on the YouTube channel, which is really exciting. I want to interview people. I want to get in there and interview people that really inspire me. But you know, the greatest thing about this project is that I am allowing it to just evolve really organically, and really every time I'm inspired and every time I have this like spark of creativity, I allow it to just flow and create, even if it's not perfect. And so you know, in a life that I've led of trying to always have this, you know, perfect Leanne Rimes perfection and voice and all that kind of stuff, this is a completely opposite thing for me. It's definitely based more on like that feminine energy. It's very what's the word I'm looking for? Hold on. Yeah. The creativity part of this is very flowy. It's not so structured, even though we have structure and ideas of things we want to do in different months. It's a very kind of flowy process, so I can all of a sudden get an idea and be like, I'm writing about this today. So it's fun that way. It gives me a different way to create, gives me a different way to connect, and so hopefully we'll be doing much more of that in 2018.